Everybody, welcome to some more League of Legends action. I'm going to be playing Gwen in Practice Tool. I'm just going to be running through and showing some people how to play her. Now, I have heard a lot of people talking about how Gwen is bad or underwhelming, and also there's also some people who think she's like ridiculously OP. So I'm just going to run through what I think about the champion because she personally plays. Oh, she's so fun. Like, she is one of the most interesting champions I've ever wanted to play, and I'll show you as to why these things exist. Turret, invincible. Let me just get a minion or a man in the river here. Boom. Spawn target dummy. There we go. Very good. Okay. How do I make sure I don't have mana issues? There's a way of doing it. Reset game. Yes. Kill player, auto-refresh HP, auto-refresh mana energy. There we go. That way I just don't lose mana. So in lane, she doesn't have a lot of mana issues, but if you're in a big fight, you'll notice that you will have mana issues, because any champion with mana will eventually, hopefully, run out of it. So, Gwen, her strengths and her weaknesses, she is a AP bruiser, which there's only 3 of currently in the game, and the other 2 I have to M7, and I love playing, so I'm very excited. That being Mordekaiser and Sylas. She plays differently. While Mord is like almost like a mountain. He's immovable. If you just fight him, sometimes you'll die depending on where you are or who you're playing. Sylas is all about baiting with his heal and whatnot. And Gwen is kind of that same way, but she relies a lot more on dodging stuff with her E, and then also with her W, because they work in really interesting ways. She has no scaling on any of her abilities or passives. That's not AP. And her passive is 1,000 cuts, so her attacks deal 1% of their max HP, which is really useful against tankier targets. So she's much better against people who are of the tankier nature. So I'm thinking Cho'Gath, Ornn, to name a few examples. Especially because they're trying to poke you outside of your range. And your W, which is the coolest ability she has and also the most controversial. If she's in the circle and this dummy is outside because it's an enemy champion, he cannot hit me. He physically cannot damage me even if he wanted to, unless he enters the circle. It also gives you magic resist and armor that also scale with AP. Not a big scaling, but once you get to like the 400 ranges of AP, it ends up being at like 59, 60-ish, which is really useful. Her Q is the most entertaining ability I find. Snip, snip, snip. See that line in the middle of it? That's true damage. So if you manage to land that part, you're golden, because she heals for the damage she deals with her passive, and this applies her passive, but not on hit effects. I think what's it called? Nashor's Tooth is kind of a bait item on her, because you're not actually going to be auto attacking a lot. You will be with skip and slash, but it's kind of like Sylas. You prefer Lichbane because you're gonna ability auto, abilities auto, abilities auto. So Lichbane I think is going to be the better one. Plus it grants movement speed, which is also useful because you want to stick to people. You don't have any means of sticking to people. You don't have a slow, except for your ultimate, which I'll go over in a bit. So what you're going to try to do is dodge their abilities like this. Let's say like Cho'Gath uses his Q, you go swoop out of the way, and if he thinks he's going to land one, or you see he's going to land one, and he's outside of like farther away from you, like Cho'Gaths like to do, where they poke you with their Q, suddenly it doesn't affect you, which is it's just fun. Like, I mean, it's a little questionable in terms of like overall balance, I find. But I'm not going to question it anymore or complain about the Riot balance team. I'm just going to play what they put in front of me and learn how to play against it. So people that would be good into Gwen, I'd imagine, are people that aren't necessarily like the tankiest, and that they get onto you. I'd imagine Fioras are probably a pretty good matchup. Even though you don't have really anything that lets her stun you, she still does what you do, but slightly better earlier on because you're a AP champion, which means you scale. Usually AP champions tend to be later game beasts. And her ultimate, which I will now show you now that I've blabbered on enough. 2, 3, boom, and then you want to max your Q because that's where all of your damage comes from. But your Q, or your ultimate, throws a needle, and that thing slows. Then when you auto attack, you get your second part, another one, which is 3 needles. another one, and you get 5. Now, the interesting thing about that is it also applies your passive. And once again, it doesn't apply on hits, it just applies your passive. So Nashor's Tooth wouldn't be proccing off of it. Your E also gives you increased range and on-hit effects. And if you hit something after you use the dash, like with an auto attack, then the cooldown is refunded by 50%. So you're incentivized to use it to stick onto people, not run away. It is capable of going over walls, but it's a short dash. I'd think of it like a Riven 3rd Q, where you can get over some walls, but realistically you're not going to get over everything. And so there's some cute things you can do with Gwen, with her abilities. Her Q can be moved with her E while you're casting it, which is going to be very useful to realign it and land that true damage, because if you don't, that's where most of your damage comes from and where most of your healing comes from. And your W, like, think of this as Darius, right? And I think I'm going to have to go in for a trade. See how I'm just outside there? Or, well, I just mess it up. But if you put it properly and you dash in to attack, there's nothing they can do to you unless they end up inside the circle. And it'll usually end up invading the enemy laner to use those abilities against you. So generally speaking, if you're going in for like the killing combo on Gwen, you want to stack your passive, so you have these 5 little things. Oh wait, did I talk about that? If I didn't, I'll do it now. Your Q gets these things, and you get more snips based on how many stacks you have, up to 4, I believe. And you get them from auto-attacking stuff. It doesn't have to be a champion, just stuff. And then more snips. But if I don't have any stacks, it'll only do 2. I'll show you. So you want to have it stacked, you want to be attacking, and you always want to make sure that you're getting that in. Sweet. And then, yeah, so this champion, the people talk about her being bad or underwhelming, and I think that's crazy. I think she's definitely a scaling monstrosity, because what a lot of people don't know is that this thing scales with AP, but not, like, well. So once we get our first item, which I believe should be, just give me, in fact, Everfrost, but I think is a good item. I think Riftmaker's a little meh. The mana's not there, and also, you don't actually heal a lot off of Riftmaker. You're healing a lot more with your passive, which will scale with more AP, which this does. So, okay, cool. So after getting one item, you can see that it's gone from 1% to 2. And if you can get it to 3, you're going to be really strong. So Everfrost gives you more AP, right? Just every legendary gives you 15 flat ability power, which will help this to scale by getting items that don't necessarily have the best AP values on them. But if we're looking at ones, Zonya's amazing. Lichbane, also very good. But I like Cosmic Drive second, I think. Because the more you can spam your abilities, the more you're going to heal. Because that's what she's based around to do. And it also gives you just flat movement speed, which is her biggest issue again, is sticking onto you. And these 2 items, when you have them, will allow you to stick onto basically anyone. Because if you're dash in, root them, they can't get away, land the true damage, and then continue the trade from there. I also think Ghost is definitely going to be something that you might want to consider taking on her, because, getting a kill, resetting Ghost, and then having that movement speed in a team fight's insane. Her team fight is insane, because you can pick a target, stick onto them, and no one else will be able to attack you from outside your W. So let's say I have their tank in here, I'm just chopping him to pieces, and then Jinx tries to arm me. Doesn't do anything. Blitzcrank tries to hook me. Doesn't do anything. So, the fact that there's people who have told me that she's just not good is ridiculous, because she's incredible. So here, yeah, you have 2 items and you get to that 3% threshold already, which is pretty good, if you ask me. Boots, Sork boots are always nice, because this is dealing magic damage, so that penetration will make it stronger. I'm curious, with another item? No. So with these 3 items, you still end up only at 3%. So I'm wondering if perhaps, let's just add more cold. If I get a death cap second, what does that do? Disgusting. So look at that. I just went from, what's it called? 3 to 5. 5% max HP magic damage. Excuse me. On anyone that I auto attack. No. If you must be thinking, oh yes, that's a lot. But you know, people do that all the time. They don't. That's like Blade of the Rune King almost. Just on you for building AP items. And now, I'll show you. Because it also heals you for 70% of the damage. So it really is Blade of the Rune King. But only on champions. So you don't want to just start chopping shit over here. But look at this. Look at that. But then the big thing is your Q. Did you see that? It applies your passive. So it's going to apply that. I think it's, how many times? 6 if you have fully stacked? 1 stack, which is enemy. Once. Snips again for... So yeah, she snips twice. And if you have 4 stacks, she snips an additional 4 times. So that's 6 times 5. And 30% of your max HP as magical damage. And if you land your Q right here in the center, that's true damage. It can't be reduced by anything. And you're healing for it. Plus, this thing now is giving me, what's it look like? Yeah, 45 magic resist right now. So I become pseudo-tanky. I chop you up, I'm healing for all that damage, and no one else around me can really attack me. And plus, oh, just look at, and then, look at that true damage. Disgusting. And the dummy doesn't even have that much HP. Now the reason you want Everfrost, I'll show you as to how you might want to utilize it. Let's say I've stacked up my passive off of the minion wave. My lane opponent steps up a little bit. You can dash, boom, and then miss it, and then be terrible. But, you know, land it. And you can even, if you land Everfrost and you're far away, you can do the thing where you Q and then dash in. So it's so good. Plus, your ultimate hits everybody. So if they're, let me just show you. Boom, 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 boom. Toggle, yes, blah, blah, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Boink. Right. So let's say there's 4 people here for some reason. Who can hit me right now? Only this guy. Maybe this guy. But anyway, if they move in, they can hit me, right? But then, in that scenario, oh my gosh, wow, I hit them all with that. And then I can land up my ultimate. So that dealt 5% of their max HP and healed me for it. I auto something. I auto something. Oh, look at how disgusting that is. All the while weaving this ability in, because I'm only level 6, so the cooldowns for things haven't really dropped. But like this, I think the cooldown drops when I give this one. Yeah, and the cooldown drops, and also the cooldown drops, I think, for this one. So it just makes you. Oh, look at that disgusting damage. So, oh my gosh, my throat. If you're in a team fight and you have these 3 items, you're not unkillable. You're squishy still. Keep that in mind. You're not building a lot of HP, but you do have some from Everfrost, and you do have some from Cosmic Drive, so you're not like squish. But you know, if you have Death Cap, you're going to be a lot squishier than normal. I'd say like if you're ahead, probably get the Death Cap. But if you're like looking to play effectively and efficiently, you're going to want like Zanyas or something, also very useful. Or Riots to slow them because you want to stick on them. Because again, your only issue is you can't stick on people. But building these items literally negates that entire aspect of the champion being an issue, right? So like there, snip, there we go. Like just look at the amount of damage that we're pumping out. And I know this is like perfect case scenario, they're all standing up, but this happens all the time. Think of it like a, you know, Rumble always lands those ultimates. You're going to be landing those ultimates, but you're going to be healing off of it, even without Riftmaker. And Ghost just makes that so much better. So like, oh, someone's cut out. Ghost, and then only these people can hit me. Ooga. Let's say this guy dies, and then I go on to this guy because Ghost is still up, and then I move over here to this guy because I just killed him in 2 shots. And I move over here, and then I move over here. So there's just some incredible stuff you can pull off with this champion. And I didn't actually know that these 3 items get you to 5%. 5% is a lot, and if you had built Lichbane there, you'd only be at 3 still. But these 2 alone get you to 3. So if you're building an item, let's say, I guess another one that gives more AP than not, but this guy gives less than Lichbane. What is it? Does Banshee's Veil get us there? I'm just curious. Nope. So your 3rd item has to be a lot of AP. So probably Death Cap. But does Nashor's get us there? Not even. So I don't even think Nashers would ever be a useful item. Or not, no, sorry. It's going to be useful, but I think there's better items for her out there. Zanya's always amazing. You know, you're going to want heal cut as well at some point. But again, it doesn't get you to that 4% threshold. But getting a death cap third will get you to 5% right away, which is a lot of damage. And everyone will be like, oh my gosh, your champion's so broken. And you'll be like, yep. Yes. That's also the same thing with... Ooh, I'm curious to see how many stacks that'll do with this. Bingo. And then we get that. And how do we level up? Level up, teleport, complete quests. There has to be an option for that, I think, right? Fast forward the game. HP. Reset game. Win. Spawn. Spawn. Fully stack runes. Stack tier. Reset. Fully stack the runes, I guess. Toggle, kill, revive, teleport, XP, auto refresh. Spawn dummies, clear dummies. Okay, maybe there's not an option to complete the Magi's. But, well, that's unfortunate. I'd love to see how much this is. Because you might, you know, if you scale in super hard and are carrying the game early, which can happen as Gwen, depending on how it, you know, the early game plays out. This also could be a good buy because movement speed helpful, HP not a lot, but it's still helpful, and then the AP that'll scale. But then when you die, just sell it because you want to get other big AP items. So also in terms of Gwen, I don't think you'd ever want to go like AD or crit or even build like a cheesy AD item because nothing scales with it. And this, I'm telling you right now, is going to be what you are looking at. The second you get to 3%, you can fight shit. The second you get to 5%, you are a beast. So I'm just curious to see if I'm full build, where do I end up? So I want my death cap for sure because that will scale with more AP. Where are we, Mr. Death Cap? Go, Bingo and Bonko, and I like Lichbane, and I don't want a potion. What's my last AP item? Probably Riots. I haven't really considered what my last items should be on her. I'm sure defensive items won't be bad, but if I get a rather AP item, I do get to 6. So here's what I'm thinking. 5% is really all you need. You don't need 6. 6 is still a lot, but when you get to 5%, you're going to be a beast. So if we're getting to 5 with these 3, why would we not add just tanky items? So this increases the healing, so if they have a lot of magic damage, get that one. Not GA. This one, where is it? Zanya's? I feel like I'm blind, but Zanya's would be useful, right? There's no doubt about Zanya's being a good item on her, but it also doesn't get this to any point. And these have AP scalings, but honestly not a lot. Like, look at that. It's still just dealing 35 and 172, and we have Deathcap, Cosmic, and Everfrost, right? Same thing with this, only 74. So building that item would be almost less efficient than just getting 2 hugely, like, movement speed item and then movement speed item. And then we're running around dealing 5% max HP with autos, but also impossible to kill. We have all of this armor and magic resist scaling us up. And then we have all the HP from our AP items, and we have the resistances and HP stacks from our items. I haven't really played her in a normal or in a real game, but boy, am I excited. See, right there, Riven can dash over that, but she can't dash over, like, big things. And so, yeah, that's Gwen. So for those of you who are thinking that she's bad or underwhelming, I am here to tell you that she's going to take a fat shit on you one time, and you're going to be like, oh, I wonder how did that happen? And this build, I don't think it's probably the most optimized because you're going to be still squishy. Zoggy's is still going to be useful. But the fact that you get to 5 off of 3 items is kind of nuts. And then I don't think I really want any more AP. I just want... Look at that shit. So satisfying. Anyways, that's my Gwen pseudo guide, or just talking about her. If you want to see me do this with other champions and explain why they're good, or you know what they're good against, or how to really play them, I can definitely do that. I like talking about them and seeing their counterplay and what they do. So to end it off, though, I think what we're gonna say is don't play Gwen into someone who can poke you from out of range, because I know this is cool because they can't hit you while you're in here, ha ha ha. But think of it like a wind wall. Like, it has a huge cool. That's because I don't know what's making that so small. But early game, it has a huge cooldown, so they're going to be able to poke you out of lane all the time, and you can't get onto them or lock them down because you don't have any slow ones until you have your ult and your Everfrost. So I'd say probably get to Everfrost before you look to fight someone who's like, I don't know, Quinn, Teemo. Unless they're getting aggressive or you're getting ganked or whatever. But yeah. Just something to think about. She's going to be super fun. And she's satisfying to play, I must admit. Duel the Scuttle Crab. Where did it go? Anyways, yeah, that's it for all I have to say for Gwen. Let me know what champions you want me to cover next in terms of discussing what they do and how they operate. In case you're the next one. Sweet. Thanks. Bye.